Hi, this is Kevin Hogel from Up Counsel IT. While watching this video, I'd like you to think about one simple question, and that question is the same question that your clients want answered when deciding whether to hire you as their criminal defense attorney. And that question is, what makes you different? Why you above all others? And if you are a criminal defense attorney and you've been practicing for more than one day, I can tell you something that you may have already discovered, which is no one likes you. The judge doesn't like you. The DA doesn't like you. The police don't like you. And at some point, your client probably won't even like you. And I should know, I've been a practicing criminal defense attorney since 2005, 8 of those years spent as a public defender. And when I left the PD's office, I discovered another harsh reality, which was software companies didn't like me. They were all kind of the same to me. I couldn't figure out what made any of them different. It didn't matter whether it was Clio, Rocket Matter, Abacus, Smokeball, MyCase, Filevine, Practice Panther, or whatever other company was out there. To me, they were all kind of the same. They seemed to be built for firms that really only cared about tracking their time, hourly billing, things that were important to civil firms, for example, and not to my practice. So in this video, I'm going to demonstrate to you and hopefully and answer the question, what makes Of Counsel IT different? What makes our product called Leah different? And Leah is the product that was built from the ground up for you, a criminal defense attorney. And there are 3 areas that I want to cover in this video that I think will demonstrate how we have built Leah for your practice and the way that a criminal practice is managed. And I'm going to cover these concepts in the video, and I apologize for going very, very quickly. But the first concept is retention. The second concept is intake and the criminal data set. And the third concept is case and calendar management. And all of these concepts overlap with what we call process automation, which we define as the ability to efficiently and automatically complete a set of pre-designed tasks that are meant to make a criminal defense attorney's job easier and more uniform. So let's begin. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to talk about is retention. We need to get our retainer signed, we need to get paid, and we need to track everything. And we know that in criminal cases, it's important to do these things quickly because if we get off the phone with the client and the client has time to change their mind, they could start calling around to find the cheapest lawyer on the block. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a new case for Walter. This will be Walter's second case. He's a prior client of ours. You can see that we quickly can just bring up his name, populate his information, and create the new case. It's going to be a DUI with a .16 BAC and rear-ended another vehicle. So Walter got into a car accident in his DUI, and we're going to call it an open case and say that Walter's actually going to retain us in this. So Walter's made the decision to move forward, and immediately we're brought into Walter's second case, number 0002. We can see Walter's other case over here. We can mark this as a probation violation if we want. We also know immediately what the case number was for the other case and some other information. But let's talk again about getting retained. So we go down to the e-signature section down here. We click a button. We select which retainer we want to send to Walter. And we simply type in his name, and then we can update the template to reflect what, for example, we're charging the client. So let's say, I'll just make it a little bit bigger so we can read it. So this is for Walter, and we're going to charge Walter, let's say $5,000. We'll make this bold so Walter knows he's getting charged $5,000. And this looks good, so let's send it to Walter. And immediately what's going to happen is Walter's going to receive an email, and I should be getting, yep, there it is. So Walter's going to, I'll pull the email that Walter will receive into view here. Walter receives this email saying that there's a document ready for him to sign. So let's log out of the system here and pretend like we're Walter, and you'll see what Walter would see. So first it says, okay, create a signature. So Walter creates a signature. That's not the best one I've ever done, but there it is. And then Walter sees the document. So this is the retainer. And he sees down here what the modifications that we've made. It's going to be $5,000. And Walter then decides, you know, I'm going to hire this guy. So let's move forward. So he clicks the button, and he has now signed your retainer in a matter of seconds. So Walter will also receive a second email which says you can download the documents here, and then he can download the same document. Now, when we go back in, we see that our files have automatically been updated. This retainer that we just created is right here, so we can download it and view it. And here it is. You can see that the backdrop of the template is actually letterhead from the firm, and this is the document that Walter just signed. Here's the retainer fee right here. You can see $5,000, and then down here is where Walter signed in that beautiful e-signature that I created. So Walter's gotten the retainer back. We've got it automatically in our file system. We didn't have to upload it or download it or do anything. It's just automatically populated right here. And then over in our e-signature section, we can see that the signing has been completed by all parties. He was the only party that happened to sign this. Normally you would also sign. So we've gotten the retainer signed. Now we've got to track the details of the retainer and also collect payment. So normally you might be doing this a little bit differently, but basically we would input like, pre-trial only, no jury trial, what fee we're charging Walter, which is $5,000 we quoted him. We're going to charge him that as well, and he's going to be on a payment plan. He's going to do payment 1 today and payment 2 next week. He's going to pay $2,500 today, and he's next week he's going to pay the other $2,500. We can see the total down here. We'll save this information, and now we've tracked what we quoted, what he's going to be charged, and the payment schedule. So when we go into billing, we see that we haven't charged him yet. So we could either create a billing activity here, or the easiest thing to do is just go to collect payment up here, and we can select Walter's case so we can track it. And it automatically populates the credit card processing information, his address and name right into the system. And then we'll put a fake credit card here into the system that I know will give us a positive result. And we're going to charge Walter that $2,500 we just talked about, and we'll hit submit. Now, once it gets approved by the processor, and this fake card I know will get approved, it brings us to the next dialog, which is the success dialog. And this asks us, do we also want to update our accounting records? So our accounting is over here. And we can immediately then update our accounting while Walter's really still on the phone. We wouldn't have to do very much. It gives us a description for Walter White, the type, which is legal services income, and the account we could select, for example, if our processor is attached to our Bank of America checking account, and that's where the deposit is going to be made, we can record the account right here. And the amount is already pre-populated with $2,500, what we just charged him. So we click save, and immediately we've collected payment, we've gotten our retainer signed, and now let's take a look at what happens within the case when we go down to the billing section. We'll see that we didn't have to do anything. Automatically, our case is tracking what charges we just charged to Walter. So if we had additional billing activities that we wanted to store, we could, of course, add them here and add them up and charge him later. But you can see with just a few button clicks, we've done all of these things to get retained very, very quickly. We've gotten our document signed, we've saved it, we've updated our accounting records, and we've tracked what we've charged to Walter, all within a 60-second time frame, if not less. Let's hop over to Walter's other case so that we can talk about the intake process, because this is actually pre-populated with data, and I think that it will be more intuitive if we look at it from that perspective. So next, when we're talking about the second issue, which is intake and the criminal data set, what we need to think about are all the things that are relevant to a criminal case. So of course, we're going to track the court information, what court this occurred at. As you type in a name, it will automatically pop up with whatever contacts we stored. I guess I've stored Harbor Justice Center 3 times in my contacts here because it popped up 3 times, but we can track the court type, the case number, the filing date, the prosecutor, bond amounts, co-defendants, charges, whether there is, in this case, it was a health and safety code, which has the wrong max, but either way, whether it's a strike prior or it's considered a strike, I'm sorry, what his exposure is, it will automatically add our exposure. For the DMV, the new case, we would be tracking the DMV information, which is, are we including the representation, whether a hearing's been requested or not, what day the hearing is, who's assigned, etc. For background, we're going to talk about family history, medical history, mental health history, drug and alcohol abuse history. Now, this is the real important stuff, which is the incident. In the new case, it would actually be a DUI. In the old case, which we're looking at, case number 1, it was a general case, so it was a drug charge. But let's talk about a DUI, actually. This will be a little bit more interesting. So if you actually walk through this entire process, the system, Leah's going to actually help you to identify issues. For example, we're not just going to track information about the accident and injuries and the vehicle, et cetera, information that we would need for example, well, actually that does help issue spot, because we know that if there's an injury involved, it could be elevated to a felony, et cetera. But also, when we started driving, where we were driving to, from, the conditions, how you felt, what you admitted, what you did admit now but denied before, whether there were other passengers, what your consumption was. When did you start drinking? When did you end drinking? What did you tell the police about your drinking? How did you feel? How did you do on your field sobriety test? When did you last eat? Did you do horizontal gaze nystagmus? Did you do Romberg, finger to nose? If so, how did you do on those? How did you do in your walk and turn test? What was your BAC? What was your PAS result? What's the evidentiary result? Did you consent? Did you deny consent? What time were these tests taken? What is your height, sex, weight? Things that are relevant to tolerance and your BAC, and when we're trying to do retrograde extrapolation. So if you walk through this intake process, you can see that it's really, really specific to criminal types of cases. And we're collecting all of the data out of the box that's relevant to you. What are the defense witnesses? What are the prosecution witnesses? What are they going to say? What is your criminal history? What open cases do you have? Are they at warrant status? Are they strikes? What are your priors? Is it considered a PV? Do you have a prison prior, a strike prior, an outstanding warrant? What's the case number, the sentence? All of this information we can collect when going through the intake process. And this is going to help us later on when we're sitting in court and we forget, what was it that the client told us about that prior? What is it that witness was going to say? When requesting information from, for example, for a subpoena, if you're going to subpoena the DMV for discovery, you need to know who the arresting officer was, the officer's badge number, the department, etc. We're tracking and gathering all of this criminal data right out of the box. There's nothing that you have to do to create custom fields or anything. Next is stats. We can track our stats. What was the final case disposition? Was it a plea? Was it dismissed? What was the sentence? And this becomes relevant when the client does pick up a new case, because it gets pulled right into the front page here, which has the prior case information. And in this case, we're looking at case number 1. Case number 2 that we just created, of course, is not resolved yet, so we don't have any of that information. And then credits. So what day did your client get taken in? When are we measuring to? And what was the sentence? And what percentage time are they going to serve? And then we get what their credits are and an estimated release date, because of course we know that our clients are always asking, when am I getting out? So that pretty much covers the criminal data set. It's a very, very quick overview, but it talks in volumes about our intake process and the method that we're collecting data, and all of that data is going to be available to you at any time when you're in court. So you can quickly go back in and take a look on your phone, and you can recall that information if it's asked upon you by a DA or a judge. And it's all been collected by you at some point during the intake process. Now, the final issue is case and calendar management. And for case and calendar management, what I think is that many software companies kind of do everything the same. They've got the same features. For example, notes. We can create notes. We can search notes for keywords, and it will bring up and highlight any of those keywords. And I think that any good software company is going to provide that feature for you. And as well as task management, we can create, assign, and update tasks, what their status is, whether it's open, urgent, pending, or completed. Events, so your calendar, of course, can always be updated. So while many of these features are consistent in almost any piece of software, I do think that we've done something that is unique. And the thing that we've done that is unique is we've integrated with both Google Calendar and Outlook, and that's not unique. But the part that's unique is when you create an event. Let's say that you create an event. Let's say it's a pretrial for Walter White. And this is going to be in Department H8. We'll create it for today, and it's going to be, let's put it at 9 a.m. Now, when we create this event, this happens to be linked with, green represents Google. So this is linked with my Google Calendar. And the part that's unique about what we're doing is when we log in here to our Google Calendar and we refresh, what you can see is that this event got created. So this is the 9 a.m. event that I just created in my software. And of course, this is in sync. If we change this to 10 a.m., it will stay in sync with my Google Calendar on any device. So if you're logged into your iPhone and your Google Calendar, you can see here, I just refreshed my browser, and of course now it's showing up at 10. But if you're in court and you update an event, of course it's going to be tracked within the case and within the system. Now, the unique part is if you're in court and you're not logged into the software, maybe you don't want to log into the software, maybe you just want to use your native iPhone calendar app. All that you have to do in this case is when you're creating an event while you're standing there talking to the judge, all you've got to do is put the case number in anywhere. So you can see right here, I've got 18HF9999. That happens to be the case number for Walter White's case. If you input that case number into your event, whether it's in the description or the location, my system here, Leah, will recognize that event is for this case. It will automatically sync. You won't have to do anything. So you don't have to log into the software to create an event for Walter's case 0001. And it will not be pulled into Walter's case 0002. So if you create a pretrial for one event or for one case and not for another, you can see right here in case 2, there's no events. There are no events that have been created. So if we go back to case 1, the system automatically knows, because we put the case number in there, that this event is only relevant to this particular case. So it just gives you a method that I think is unique. I don't think that any other software company is doing this. It gives you a method of never having to log into the software while you're in court to at least update your calendar. So calendar management is important for any criminal defense attorney, and being able to quickly create an event without having to log into 2 different places is just, I think, wonderful. You can just put in the case number and you're done. So that is a very, very quick, down and dirty overview of some of the features that are built in, pre-configured for a criminal defense attorney that's using the Leah software. Of course, there are so many other features and so many more on the way, and more videos forthcoming. But if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at ofcounselit.com or give us a call and we'll talk to you. And another thing that you should understand when hiring or retaining us to handle your practice management via Leah is that if you've got an idea about an update, if you want something changed, or if you think that something needs to be done better, this is very, very easy for us. We can update the software and put it out to you within a short time frame. And the reason is because everything's done in-house. We don't have to outsource anything such as coding or development. All features are internal, created by us, built by us, and they can be deployed very, very quickly, which is much different than other platforms. You're not going to be able to call up some other software company and say, I really like this feature. When can you have it done by? But we can. So feel free to give us a call, send us an email, visit our site. And again, it's ofcounselit.com, and you will see some other videos and information about Leah. And thanks for watching. We appreciate it.